Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I want to educate you about the Baker Act and specifically what I call the waiting game. And so over the years, we have spoken to, thousands of families. And I think at this point, we've probably filed, close to 700 of these cases to get people out. And normally there's at least 2 or 3 cases pending at any one time. And it's just amazing. It doesn't seem to be any slow up in the number of people the state seems to be willing to lock up, without any due process. It's really distressing. And having had my own family member Baker acted, I really understand how this feels on a personal level. But sometimes we'll speak to a family and they say, well, we're just going to wait and see what happens. And I understand it. Look, if you call our office, whether it's, about a loved one who's been Baker acted or maybe a loved one who's got a long-standing substance use or mental health disorder, and you're looking for help to get them some resources, get them into treatment. This is a no judgment zone in my office. The idea of us helping you is to give you some options, and then you decide what's right for your family. And I learned that from my dad a long time ago, that when making very important decisions about your family, you do your research and then you decide what's right for you. And so if a family says, look, we're just going to wait and see what happens, I respect it. But from my perspective, okay, my opinion, and I've stated this, I think, in every Baker Act video I've ever done, that you should not wait, okay? Now, does that mean that families that wait don't get their loved ones back? Well, they do eventually, and I can't tell you how long eventually is, right? I can't tell you how long the proverbial piece of string is. I can tell you that families that fight like heck to get their loved ones out, and what I mean by that is they retain a lawyer to go fight the facility, typically get their loved ones back a little bit quicker. And what tends to happen is, especially, if it's a good case for the facility, if there's health insurance, and this is a facility that likes to sort of, skirt the law, is that what they'll do is they'll string the family along. It's only going to be 72 hours. And then, the 72 hours goes by and their loved one's still there. Or the facility doesn't tell them that if the end of the 72 hours falls on the weekend, well, those days don't count. It rolls over until, say, it would roll over to a Monday, unless Monday's a holiday, in which case it rolls over to Tuesday. They don't tell the family member that. And they don't tell the patient that. So everybody's like, what's going on here? Or what happens is the 72 hours does expire and they're told, oh, we're going to re-Baker Act the person. We're going to re-Baker Act your loved one. There's no such thing as a re-Baker Act. That's just BS that the facility's giving the family and the patient. Or, your loved one agreed to stay on a voluntary basis. What do you mean? Yeah, they signed a voluntary admission agreement. Why would they do that? Well, because they decided they needed help. Again, BS, but what happens is they coerce the patient into signing what's known as a voluntary admission agreement. There's no clock ticking. They can hold them indefinitely with no hearing, no judge, no lawyer, nothing. So all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. And I will tell you that as a general rule, you cannot sue the facility for this. They're immune because they're an agent of the state's mental health system, even if they are private for profit. However, they do have a duty to keep somebody safe. And unfortunately, I've had a client that was beaten up in a facility. I had another female client who was sexually assaulted in a facility. And unfortunately, and I'm sorry to say this, these are the types of things that can happen, which is a very, very good reason why you want to fight like heck to get your loved one out as soon as possible. It is my recommendation that you do not wait. You do not allow the facility, the state, to dictate what happens to your loved one and when they come home. Even if you think the detention was legal, you should still fight to get them out. Okay? Let's find somewhere else that we can get them help if they need it. But don't leave them in this hellhole, which is what a lot of these facilities are. I'm sorry to say. That's my 2 cents. I do not believe in waiting. Not 1 second. If you decide that you want to wait, again, no judgment. But I just tell you what typically works for us and what gets the best results is to fight. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. If you have any comments or questions, please post them. I read all of them. I try to respond within 24 hours. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. It does help with the Google algorithm, whatever that is. And if you could subscribe to the channel, I'd be grateful. With that said, I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.